Hey guys, so here I'm going to show you how I use the fairy assets that you can purchase for your fairy portraits or really for any other kind of, themed portraits or any kind of work that really you want to apply some magic to, something like that. So in the folder, you're going to have this background, which is it's a painting that I've kind of redone and resized so that you can use it for composites or whatever you would like. And we're gonna start with, this is what the background image looks like straight out of the folder. And we're gonna start with Fireflies. So if you look here, when you open up the Fireflies folder, it's an image file, so it's not an action. You're gonna have an option of warm, cool, or white fireflies. Now for this image, because it is on the warmer side, I'm just going to come over here and drag this onto my image and make sure that I grab my grab tool and hit Command T to transform, and then you can just play with whichever way you want to apply these fireflies. So you can go something like that. You can duplicate your layer, Command J, and you can add more. Again, you can Command T, rotate it, make it smaller for the background, something like that. And these are seamless, so you're not going to have any issues with how you apply these. You can adjust your blend modes if you want them to appear to be a little bit brighter or darker or whatever you want them to be. Okay, so this is the Firefly overlays that you can add to your images, something like that. Okay, also it comes with ears. So I have a left and a right ear, and these should be fairly straightforward to add to your image. Let's start with the right one. So we're just going to drag that on, and if you zoom in, you can see that you can pretty much apply it. So just remember that the bottom of our earlobes are usually only about an inch or so away from the top of our jaw. And so that's usually a good indication of where to position it. But honestly, because it's not really super real, you could play with it and just make it work however you want. Now for this, you should probably add a little mask and just adjust the opacity on that one side. Just brush it in so that it actually suits your image better. You can also add a little bit of color to it just by put up a blank layer. Make sure you right click and choose create clipping mask so it clips it to the ear. And then you can come down here and you can click color and then sample a color in your subject's skin, and then you can come in and just paint that color so that it matches your subject's skin a little bit better. Okay, so that's how you do the ear if you want to do the ear. And don't forget that you can always Command T and just adjust the size too if you feel like it's a little bit too big or small for your subject. There, I think that looks good. And okay, so the next one is fairy lights. I'm going to do that last. These are just some little fairy nymphs that I cut out for you guys. You can just drag them on. And where did they go? Oh, they're clipped. We do not want them clipped, so let's unclip them. Okay, so here's our little nymphs. And I'm going to show you a really cool technique to get them to sort of match your background. And what you do is you come up and you go, actually, we're going to make sure that it's only affecting this, right? And the only way, instead of adding like an adjustment layer over here to affect this, if you come up here and choose image adjustments, then that's going to only affect the layer you're working on. So we're going to choose match color. And in the source here, we're going to make sure that we look at what the name of our file is called, and this one is Dana. So we're going to choose that for our source file, and we want layer 2 is the file we want to affect. So what you do is you click neutralize, and then you start fading it out, and you can see that it'll start grabbing the colors of the background image and match it a little bit more. I like to reduce the luminance, especially on these guys, because they're already way too bright. So this should darken them up significantly right about there. And now you can see that the color tone is actually matching pretty good to the background layer. You can play with your color intensity. If you pull it up, it usually goes way more intense, and then you can reduce it. So I'd say that that's pretty good. Let's just play with our fade a bit. So your fade is also going to reduce that color effect, and you can just decide what you want on there. So as soon as you click OK, it applies it. There's no undoing it unless you create a smart object out of it, that type of thing. But with all composites, just remember that the number one thing that you have to remember to do with this is to click beneath this image, add a blank layer and a dark color, and what you're going to do is you're going to just create that shadow, because without the shadow underneath, it's never going to look like it's real, right? And what you can do is grab other dark colors in the image to fade it out, and that'll make it look a little bit more realistic. But because you can see on the edge of these little guys that they're way darker than the darkest color in the image, there's something else that you need to do to really create it to look more realistic. So we're going to click on the subject, which is this guy here, and we're going to create a blank layer above it, right click, create a clipping mask, and we're going to grab this color again, and this time we're going to go over top of the little forest nymphs here, and what that's going to do is that's going to make the edge a little bit, make it look like it blends better into this actual ground area, and lighten up that too dark shadow on the little kids. Okay, you can sample the green and you can go over it this way if you want. It'll help lighten it up just a wee bit. Same thing with over here. Like this. And then come back to the below one, which is right here, and we're going to go really dark again and just add a little bit more drama to that shadow underneath. But shadows are really important for creating realism in composite work. Okay, that looks good. Now, right here is our little forest nymphs again. We're going to click between the clipping mask and that one, because what's going to happen is it's going to automatically create another clipping mask. And what I want to do is choose a levels adjustment and just reduce the brightness again of these guys. And the reason for that is because she's blocking all of the light, and so they would really be in shadow. So we're going to just come in and really reduce the brightness on them. Also pull up the blacks just a bit, because we don't want them to be more clipped than the shadows in the rest of the image. So you can see that this is sort of making it look like it's actually sitting in the shadow. We do need a little bit more light on them. So let's just pull our highlights up a tiny bit and our shadows up a little bit. Right about there. So then come back here, and then you can adjust the shadow underneath so that it looks more realistic as well. Okay, so those are the little forest nymphs that are included. Now, if you do this, what I would suggest, if you want to adjust the size after you do it, is create a Command G, a group, and then if you want to, you can just Command T, and then this will reduce all of those layers so that you don't have to worry about it not matching very good again. And you can drag them around and decide where you think that they look best. Something like that. And if you want to, you can reduce the opacity of the group, which will fade them out a little bit. And you could come in and do some dodging and burning on them to make them pop just a little bit more. Okay, so those are your forest nymphs, and let's grab this little mushroom, which is super cute. I'm gonna grab this over here, and I'm just gonna stick it, let's stick it right here. Now this one doesn't have a stem, and that's okay. Don't worry about the stem part, but what I am gonna do is just reduce the opacity on it a little bit, right about there. And once again, we're gonna go to a levels adjustment. We're gonna click this button to clip it, and we're gonna reduce the brightness of this little guy, because once again, it's in the shade. And pull up those blacks just so that they're, you know, not crazy dark compared to everything else. So that's good. And we're going to do one more. We're going to choose brightness and contrast and clip it once again, and just pull this down. And we don't want that much contrast, so we're going to pull it to the left so that it's not quite so contrasty. Now we're going to merge those three layers together, and we're going to just reduce the opacity. And once again, you can decide exactly where you want it to be. There's a little bit of light on the top, so I think over here would probably be better because that's where the light would be falling. And I'm going to create a new layer, put it below. I'm going to grab this color. So choose this color of this little guy here. And then I'm going to change my blend mode to multiply, and I'm just going to come in here. And I'm going to create what looks like a stem. And all you have to do is make sure that your first layer is multiply blend mode like that. You can choose to make it thicker underneath here, right? And then a new layer, and then you're going to choose a lighter color, and then you can come in here and just kind of add a highlight. To the side, and that'll make it look like it's a stem. Okay, so that all works, and that looks kind of cool. And the same thing again, you can come in and you can do some dodging and burning on those to make them pop more within the image. And the last thing I'm going to do, you all probably should have got some fairy nymph brushes, so I'm going to come down here and just grab one of mine, and I'm going to grab, let's say, this one. I'm going to change my flow to 100 and make sure I'm on white, and now I'm just going to reduce the size of this and try to put it wherever her eyes are, which looks like about here. And now what I'm going to do is, using my grab tool, I'm going to pull my fairy lights down, and here is the same thing. So you can see that you've got a warm and you've got a cool globe. So I'm going to open up, I'm going to choose the warm globe. Do not open up the folder, just grab the whole folder onto your image like this. Just like that, we're going to put it over. And now you can see in here that it's opened up. Okay, so come in here and come in here and just undo these to start, and you can see how it goes. So this last one here clearly is the color dodge burn layer that we have talked about previously. So we're going to reduce the size of that. So now this one is rasterized, so you can go Command T. Let's say this was for a lamp, right? So you can go like this and you can create a flame. Command T, just pull one down, and now you've got a flame that you could put into like a lamp or something, right? So here's your little lamp. Or let's say you wanted it over here with these little guys. Then what you could also do is you could grab these and put it down here with it, okay? Just remember that if you do that in your lamp or what have you, that you're gonna have to really dodge and burn these guys here so that it looks like it's affecting them. Okay, but this is how you can use this warm globe for a lantern or whatever magic you want to use, right? And you can just Command T, reduce the size, and then all you need to do, let's say we're putting this on top of here just for a joke. Okay, so let's say this is your flame and you want these other ones. You can do the exact same thing. So Command T, and then you can make it bigger. Let's say this one, Command T, make it bigger. Right? So you can do it all as a group, or you can do it individually and make them really stand out. But you don't need this part here to use these ones here that you can use for your fairies, right? So you can just apply those ones to your little fairy brushes, and you can also change the order. So if you want this green on top and you want the warm underneath, so you can always do that as well. Okay, so that's how you use those and how you would use the this part, the flame. Okay, that's for those that can't really quite figure it out or do it on your own. You can create that flame. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, and let's see what this is. Okay, so I'm going to show you, what is this one? Oh, this is our little angel. Okay, so this one here is our mushroom. This one here is our stem. So we're just going to combine those three together. And you can see as soon as I did that, that it took away that, that multiply blend mode, which is fine. And this is our fairy, and this here is these little guys. Okay. These ones here are fireflies. I'm just going to reduce that a wee bit. And those are the ones in the background. Perfect. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and flatten this, but I'm going to do a dodge burn layer just so that I can show you how you can easily make these look a little bit more poppy. Okay, so I'm just dodging the out, and the out is, as you probably already know, the highlights. So by dodging in the highlights, now it has a little bit more realism to it because it's going to reflect the light coming from this area here. And same thing with burning. So we're going to come under here and we're gonna just burn in back these shadows. Yes? Yes. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then dodge again. I'm just going to pull this up to about 4. We're just going to add wee little highlights on the little cherubs. Not too much. I just want a little bit because to me they look really super flat right now. And that's something that I've never really liked, is a flat image. Okay, so this is just going to add a little pop. Not too much, but just enough. Okay, just a little bit like that. Burn again. Just going to burn underneath them. reduce your size to get smaller, more contact shadow. Like that. All right. Okay, so close that and take a look. So see how that has helped those images look a little more poppy. I feel like the black on the cherubs is a bit much, so I'm just going to come back and undo a little bit. Okay, so that's how you use all of those tools. I really hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that this helps you figure out how to use these items.